1 out of every 3 mouthfuls that you've ever taken as sustenance has come as a direct result of the work that honeybees do. So you're taking away a third of your food if the bees go, immediately. It's gone.
So is there a campaign out there for the bees?
Yeah.
Have you got a slogan for them? Buzz off and let the bees be strong. Oh, go that one. Is that a good one?
Yeah.
Hashtag buzz off. Let the bees be strong. Do you think it would work?
I'll get
What
that
would
one
Nigel?
up.
What would his one? What would his one be?
Elmer?
Elmer.
I don't know, no, Nigel.
Welcome to our second Small But Massive podcast, and it's with great pleasure I can invite tonight an old friend of all things Glasgowbury and all things else, Mr. Junior Johnson. Welcome with us tonight, Junior. How are you keeping?
I'm very well, Paddy. Thanks for having me.
I know earlier on there you were sitting and there was a lot of noise in the background. You thought, there was like a hotel lobby crack going on there. The music was good, wasn't it?
Great.
And there was a great laughter. But here, just before we shoot on, thanks for coming. And this is our second one. First of all, I would just like to ask you, when you first started music, way back in the dawn of whenever you started, what brought you to it? Had you any inspirational people at that time when you were maybe at school or whatever? And how did you get into it?
Well, I was taught classical piano as a kid. So I learned all the greats there, I suppose, or as best I could. I remember learning for grade 3 a piece that Mozart wrote when he was 6. It was difficult for me to learn at age 9, so I can't imagine, age 13, so it was, anyway. I specifically remember in school, primary school, they put on a play, and our class got to go see the rehearsals of the play before the main event. And they sang these songs. I'd never heard music like this before.
What year were you in then?
I would have been P6, so 10 years old.
Yeah.
And I got home to my dad, and I was like, have you ever heard this song? And I sang, it was Rave On by Buddy Holly, and
I know it. Go on, give us a wee line.
And It Doesn't Matter Anymore, another Buddy Holly track.
Deadly.
So, and he had the Reader's Digest album or whatever it was, the Buddy Holly's greatest hits, and stuck it on the cassette player and the hi-fi in the living room, and that was it all night, just listening to. Then I went on to Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah. Chicken nuts. Yeah.
Lonnie Donegan, he
was the king of shuffle.
Oh man.
And did that sort of so from school, did that well, you mentioned 3 different styles of music there, from just in the one breath. So Lonnie Donegan, and you mentioned the Mozart, and then the songwriter, and so you put them all together, and then where did it go from there from school then?
I stopped piano at grade 5, and then just kind of let it go by the way, I suppose. Then at home, there was a couple of fellas in the estate. They were into Nirvana and some New York punk, cheesier stuff, possibly, if you were to talk to a real punk. But I really like Rancid. There was another cool band, so ended up watching a lot of, you were able to buy MTV, compilation videos, literally VHS, that they would send you through the mail, and of your favourite tracks.
Did you wait for them with open breath?
Yeah.
I can't wait to plug it in.
Played them till they were just, white lines everywhere, all over them. But so I got a guitar, and then I borrowed actually a mini Strat, the kids Strat, off a schoolmate of mine, and I just couldn't believe it. One day it was James Quinn, actually, Brenton Quinn, his son James,
the country and western
guitar player. He was in lower and upper sixth in the school I was in, the Rennie.
Yeah.
She was in as well.
Sure was, yeah.
Hogwarts. And,
Hogwarts, yeah.
And one day, I remember, I'll never forget it, James was down with a cherry red Strat, and he played, it was just the opening, 8 notes to REM's Everybody Hurts.
Yeah.
And I was like...
Did you weep? Did you?
Jeez, I was
Did
like,
that the one that made a tear go down your eyes? Did it? Did it?
ordinary people. I bawled like a baby.
I did. Did you?
Catch
Was it a full pack of the tissues moment? Was it? No. Well, look, that was a massive hit at the time, and look, that's good because obviously that song, you know, banged home the truth or whatever at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I was that album was out. Yeah, it was. I had that then, Automatic for the People, and the like I just couldn't believe ordinary people could play. Wow, that's, you know, ordinary people can do that on the guitar. So I borrowed this guitar, went home and learned. That was my thing. I wanted to learn that, learn strumming for Smells Like Teen Spirit and Heart Shaped Box. I still play Heart Shaped Box if I get the chance, you know. But I don't know. It just, and then I suppose grew a little bit older. Played some music in a local, you know, in our state with some of the other local kids. It was just like cheesy 15-watt amp and a fake Strat.
But did you feel it was?
Yeah, it was class.
Yeah, that's it.
There was one of them.
See that moment? Look, it doesn't matter. Could I just say, it doesn't matter how bad the gear is in your first band or your first sort of
drums.
It is deadly, isn't it? You feel that way.
Yeah, we didn't have any pedals, so there was this kid in the estate that he couldn't sing or play or anything, but he wanted to be in the, you know, part of it. So I was like, right, you hit the distortion button on the amp when I give you the nod for the chorus. Oh my god!
But it sounded deadly. Yeah,
it was great fun.
Yeah, and well, look, then I suppose you moved on and you went then to Mudd Wallace. Those that don't know Mudd Wallace, Mudd ran the studio called Homestead, and he had a lot of really big Northern Irish acts over the years. Unfortunately, Mudd's not with us anymore, but he was a phenomenal musician and a great producer. Some of the acts from what I can remember and would have been the likes of Therapy, would have been in Pat McManus, I think, would have been in, and I remember Vivian Campbell, who now plays for Def Leppard.
Yeah,
I think he might have visited it too. And
the Pogues, the Dubliners, the Dannon, Eleanor Shanley, anybody, Chieftains, you know, anybody, Van Morrison, anybody in Irish music, really.
Well, that you know, that's amazing. I suppose a lot of people maybe out there listening, Junior, wouldn't be aware that studio actually was there, you know, and
exactly.
that it was a springboard for not only, you know, there was a springboard for a lot of talent. I think it was a springboard big time for Therapy too at that time. And
yeah, I mean, somebody said that, you know, if Mudd had got the producer's cut of all the albums that he ought to have, he would have been a multi-millionaire, you know. He made a lot of people a lot of good records, you know.
Yeah, and I suppose,
I mean, that wasn't his game, sorry, I should say, you know. He just loved it, you know.
Yeah, and you would have built a good friendship with him, obviously being from the,
luckily, yeah,
the same area,
locale.
Yeah. And
I mean,
how did that come about? Like, how did you sort of stand, you know, the wee bridges down there, and you stand the bridge, I'm going to meet this man today because I know where he lives, and I'm hoping, you know, or did you feel I'm going to meet some kind of local star coming out after recording a song, or, you know,
exactly those things.
That, all them things, and that's great. But so how did then that connection come together then?
Yeah, I mean, in Randallstown, he was obviously a local legend or whatever. Everybody knew Mudd. Yeah, and would have bought him a pint or whatever, and had a, you know, back in the day, you know, everybody just knew Mudd. And there's so many stories about that as well. But the first time I met Mudd was naively, stupidly landed in with two of the lads from the band I used to be in, the Rapparees, and we went into the studio, and he came down from the kitchen. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, just wondering if we could maybe record some demos here. And he was like, record some demos? He goes, what do you mean? Original music? And no, it's oral Irish kind of music, you know. And he was like, no. And that was that conversation. I was like, okay. And I was like, I'm meeting a superstar, you know, a legend. So and I was like, oh, okay, sorry for bothering you. And away we went. So I was on the Princess Trust scheme, actually.
Yeah. And what was that about then, the Princess Trust scheme?
I was a civil servant actually at the time, and because the civil service sponsors the course and like to give back, or to, you know, to make you feel
make you feel better at work. Yes,
or about your lucky life.
Energize our workforces. That was one of them. Yeah, step out now at the front. Let's do a wee boogie dance.
I was like, look how bad you could have it. You know,
Yeah.
no, it wasn't like that at all.
No,
anyway,
no. But so it was. So the Princess Trust were running a project, of course. Yeah,
12-week project, and it's for anybody that may not have the means or the qualifications to gain employment, or even in the field that they like or want to be in.
Yeah.
Fabulous, amazing people that really come out of their shell. Highly recommend it to anybody who has the opportunity to go to do it.
Was it all about confidence building and finding yourself? And
exactly, and you got to do so many things, and one of them was a week's work experience. So I was like, I want to be in the studio. Contacted Mudd. Yeah, come on ahead, sure, you can make tea. And
well, that's a good start in the studio, like, you know.
He says, we work the other 9 to 5, you know that, so don't be coming here at 10 o'clock in the morning expecting me to be tipping tunes, We work the other 9 to 5. Yeah. So it was supposed to be a week, but any spare moment I had after that, I was down there at 3, 4 in the morning. They were taping lots of different albums. Beolga was their first album, was going there at the time. There was an Ulster Scots album, which was hilarious. He says the first time he's ever walked off a gig in 24 years, but we'll not go down anyway. So, pardon me. So, anyway, I met, but he goes, yeah, well, I said I might have a song or two. I'd written some stuff, jotting some stuff down late at night after work in the bar. He was like, well, play it and see how. I was like, no, I'll book a day studio time. We'll do it right. Got some artists. I got some musician friends in, play cello and violin, and sing backing vocals. Then Mudd was like, yeah, it's kind of half decent song there. That City Girl. I like that song.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable. This guy, like,
brilliant.
And brought that. That was in. Subsequently brought that to Jerry Anderson. He played that tape, but
Jerry was a great supporter of your music, wasn't he? And you played
another
live.
Local hero.
You played live with Jerry. What seeing from that there that Jerry was playing, because at that time that's you then with Mudd, and then leaving Mudd a wee minute, and then shooting on to Jerry, who was at that time a huge Radio Ulster presenter, a legend of himself. Loads of people listened to him.
Yeah, 110,000 listeners a day.
You were able to go on there and play live then, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I got a copy of the CD. My dad, we drove up, left the house about 5 minutes before Jerry's show started, so we were making shape to get to Derry for 12:15 when it ended, and he handed over to, as he called him, the fat boy. Nolan, that's what he used to call him. Or no, that was when he picked up the show, sorry. The fat boy. But so we drove up, and Jerry's show had literally finished as we were pulling into the car park. It was like Nuns on the Run. And I ran in, said hi to reception, ran up the stairs, and he was coming down the first little 4-step, out of the studio after having done the gig. And I was like, Jerry, I said, I've just landed here. I've got a tape here. I think, I want you to hear it and tell me what you think of it. And he was like, oh, okay, kid. He goes, I get loads of these, And I was like, yeah, no, if you don't like it, I'm not expecting anything. And he goes, where'd you come from? And I said, Railstown. He goes, Railstown? When did you come? I said, oh, we just drove here. Come on. He says, we'll get a cup of tea. Jeez, you just drove in from Railstown. So back up into the studio, we went and we got a cup of tea and sat and talked nonsense for 5 minutes. And he says, listen, I like you, but he says, if I like this, you'll hear it. If I don't, you won't. And before anybody spoke the next morning, before, at the start of his show, before anything, just straight after the news, the first thing he did was hit play on that City Girl track.
So that was a great moment. Yeah.
I could have died happy.
Yeah. And so from that there, the first time that I would have met you, from just where you were at there, and
that would have
been, and was it a G session or we were on?
Yeah, it was indeed.
In the cellar bar, wasn't it?
Well, Mudd had for a long time extolled the virtues of Glasgowbury and all the things that were going on in Dripperstown.
Yeah,
especially knowing his prior relationship, I suppose, friendship with you.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, we'll have to we'll go and see Paddy G. We'll go and see Paddy G. He knows what's going on, you know. And so I can still vividly remember the meeting, but I can't remember what the G session was or anything at the time, to be honest.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't remember that.
I was so nervous, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, there's no need for that.
And Mudd was, it was like, I can vividly remember in the cellar bar, the two old friends meeting. You were on the left and Mudd was on my right, and Mudd was just laughing like he did.
That was back in the days when you could hug.
Exactly, you know.
You're allowed to hug, like, you know.
Backslap hugs and...
hugs might be forgot about, brother, you know. They might just be a thing that just disappear. I think, you know, even by talking about a hug makes me feel quite emotional at the minute. And well, they're listening in the back there thinking I am emotional, but they can't see the tears. Like, you know, Jarlath can see the tears. Can't you, Jarlath? Give me a wee nod there. Tierney can see the bloody tears. You know, and I'm doing everything that Ryan doesn't break down here at the minute. Well, tell the world what a hug is, just as a matter of interest. You know, so sorry, we were allowed to do the famous hug, right, in the cellar, right? And go ahead, brother.
Yeah,
the words were said.
Mudd, they backslapped, hugged, and laughed and said hello after not meeting for a long time. And Mudd was like, "Tell you, Paddy, me and Paddy, the Pancreas twins."
Yeah, we have a wee thing we used to go. You know what? Back in the 80s, I think there was a band called the Cocteau Twins. And my first introduction, I was aware, you know, that he had went through a major operation on his pancreas and liver, and so I suppose, you know, to see the humorous side of us all, like, was we became the Pancreas Twins, you know. So, but that was a brilliant time, and so. From that introduction, which was in the cellar bar, at that time we had been running the Rural Key, and I usually would probably just say something in somebody's ear like, "The Rural Key's on, you should come." But I think with Mudd that night, I got a CD as well, and just on that there, just the people out there that your music is online, and that first album is online. Is that the one on my head with a railway track?
It was like there's a street on it, and was there hand sketched, but no, that's not available. That's cast into the annals of history with any. I'll send it to anybody that wants that City Girl track that Jerry played, but the rest of the songs are rubbish, you know.
Have they went to the
there's still about 890 CDs in my dad's loft,
floating down some strange long unforgiving river. They're just floating down.
They're gone.
So how many of them are floating down that
9 out of the 10.
9 out of the 10. Well, that's not bad.
I mean,
you know, look, the one that mattered, it started to get you a bit of play. Okay, and that was great, and yet again with Jerry even better. And so the Rural Key came up, and you joined it. You joined at the same time as Shauna Toho.
Yep, Shauna
and the Q.
It was the Q, yeah. I think the first couple of weeks even Mike was there, was he? Mike Mormaker was there.
Was he there?
I have a very vivid memory of a
well, you know
interaction
what?
in the shop.
You know, he always had this thing about the invisible cloak. You know, there's something about him. Like he was. Well, I actually, you know what? That's deadly because he doesn't know yet, but I haven't sent him an invite yet. But I'm going to ask him to come on a podcast. So, but
what a guy.
well, you know, as you know, Malinky. You know, so he was Malinky, and he's invisible guy. So. That's deadly. I didn't know that. But, well, do you know what? For that short time he might have been on it, I think he learned plenty.
Yeah. Yeah, he was there for, he was definitely there for 2 or 3 weeks, I think.
That's deadly. Well, maybe, you know, so that's deadly. So even I learn something new every time, you know.
It's hard to keep all the memories.
It is deadly. So at that time, so you know, it brings me into now another producer. You went from Mudd, as I say, and then your next recording through the Rural Key was in Blast Furnace, Mick O'Connell.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty deadly, I thought, you know, for everybody, because I had been in Mudd myself. I should have said that earlier on, and that's how we kind of had that camaraderie. But going to Mick, you've got a different type of producer, different type of studio. obviously, I think when we were there, it was still reel to reel, wasn't it?
Yep, we recorded on it was the Here Come the Land of Gentry's tape there. They let us record over that tape, sorry. But
funny, I thought I seen a memo out. Does anyone know where a reel to reel is? If you're gonna swim with a lead belly,
Reno's gonna crash an Ocaster over my back.
There's going to be a big massive cheese sandwich fly over the mountain and hit you in the side of the face. But no,
Mick was brilliant. He was. I mean, it seemed like he was for not laid back, but because that gives the wrong impression. But the way we went in and recorded it, he goes, we'll just do a tape, or just do a take, sorry. And we did 2 or 3 takes, and he was like, yeah, that sounds great. And then he laid into the producer side of it, but then you were in as well as the producer, because I can vividly remember playing the organ, and you were like, no, next time round, lad, see, instead of that there, just hit the chords, just hit the octave chords on that there, just the D's, just hold the low D and the high D. And then I was like, and the G and then the A for that one track. And it was brilliant. It just, it changed the whole, what would you say,
dynamics.
Character of the track.
Yeah. But that was, you done a few tracks with, as a band formula, and there was loads. I mean, the Rural Key ones were all in there back and singing, and that was the thing about, I suppose, the actual Rural Key, where
that's right.
You would have different. Did Pedro come in actually? And
absolutely. And do you know what? If you listen to that same track, I can't even remember the name of the track now. But
here's a CD at all local diners. Anybody? There was a thing out, 2 sausage rolls, and I have a look at 2 sausage rolls and a CD of the Rural Key.
Holy
Find
shit.
it in all your good outlets.
And John, as well, John Gribben. It was so Lonely Places was the name of the track.
Yeah,
but you can pick out your vocal on the don't you know it?
Don't you know it?
You can pick out, and Wally's as well, very distinct, and then Johnny, don't you know it?
Yeah. Well, then I think that's because everyone was in the room, and everyone wanted to give something in, and I think that's what the Rural Key. Funny, I was chatting to Paul Connolly about it, and he was saying about it just wasn't about this sort of do this course and this is what you do, have the course, get through the course and everything should be fine, right? Write down the notes. Did you write down the notes? Tick all the square boxes. Tell the people if your fringe goes to the right or the left, But other than that there was, as I say, everybody seemed to want to work together, and yourself, you work with Anna Clark on our tunes, and so. And
gigged then with him after as well. We did the live with John and Shauna. I mean, in so many different genres, or whatever you want to call them, styles of music.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe what I was hearing with the Q. Like Paul Connolly just blew me away. With that on the radio and Trapdoor. Jesus, it was just something else. Like, I still listen to those tracks. Like, I still have them in Bandcamp somewhere. I hope they don't take them down, but I can still find them if I have to search now and again.
For all be ripped.
Amazing.
Going from that there, you were saying, like, in the Rural Key showcase, then we went from, obviously down in the cellar at the time and the G sessions, and then you went up and you played the festival. So you played the festival on your own and as 2 pieces, and then you like, I suppose you kind of done pieces of bigger ensembles and what. So at that time, how was that for you? The festivals and the gigs and the scene even at that time. For you, what what I mean?
I mean, and it's probably corny or whatever, maybe to look back or to say and look back in hindsight, and everything's got rose tinted glasses. But I really do believe that period in the music scene, and not even necessarily just Northern Ireland, but the whole island, and maybe even the UK as well. But it was so submersive here and so huge. That period from, say, 2005 to 2014, 15 maybe, after kind of the festival ended.
The music scene had muscly legs.
If I was born now, I probably couldn't, I don't know, I couldn't forgive the universe for not having, like, I already have a real thing about not living through the 70s and the 60s and whatever, and witnessing all that Elvis and Johnny Cash or whatever for the first time, and Black Sabbath and whatever. But I honestly, I'm so grateful that I was alive. Like, all the things that happened in the last 14 billion years in the universe all came together at that one point to create that there hub of just the best of the best. And no egos, no, just the same ethos. Everybody was a VIP, and
very interesting people.
yeah,
Yeah,
big sign across the can.
yeah, and that's a big load of people, isn't it?
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
Every one of them interesting.
Every
too.
one of them interesting
It's
too.
like Bill Nye, the science guy, says, you know, everybody you meet, they know something you don't know.
Yeah, learn. Yeah,
great.
Button them lips up sometimes and learn. Yeah. So just going on to the next wee phase. So after that, there, with the Rural Key, you then started a new. No, you between that time you took a tour to the USA, isn't that right?
Yeah.
Did you get the big car sitting on it, you know what I mean, and cruise down the highway? What was that like for you? Was that the first time, you know, that you'd been in America playing, or had you done that before? Or
no, that was the very first time. You know, again through people from Ryan Lagan from the Cellar that ran the Cellar during those wonderful years. He put me in touch with the guy who'd played in the Cellar, Paddy Saul from Boston. Well, from here, but lives in Boston, and he played regularly in a bar in Cambridge, just west of Boston, 5 minutes out of the town, called Bull McCabe's. It's actually now closed 6 weeks ago because of this.
Yeah. Which is sad. What's that?
It was a really well known, very famous hub, you know, for not just music, just good place to be. Anyway,
yeah,
we played there. Dermot and I played in there and had some great food and met some great people. But then we shipped down to New York, met up with John Gribben, who was there.
Yeah,
he knew a guy who lived in New York, still does, Niall Connolly, from Cork originally, but he ran a songwriter night in New York. And if you think you're a songwriter, you should go to an open mic in New York, because you'll get your ass kicked. It's the quality of penmanship and delivery was beyond anything I'd ever witnessed, and it was brilliant. Actually, I'm not even like, I bawled my eyes out listening to one of Niall's tracks. Blew me away. But it was beautiful. It was a great.
So that's REM and this tune.
Yeah,
it hit the deck again. But did you perform? Did you get up on stage and?
Yeah.
Maybe you're being sore on yourself. Maybe, you know, because maybe it really went well. Because I'm sure that people come up after it. I mean, knowing that you travelled long, it's not as if you just travelled up from, you know, like Mahara to the port. You know, you left from here, like, and you travelled a good bit, and you know, and
well, to be fair, yeah. I mean, I did absolutely. We did travel a fair bit. There was guys there though from Georgia and all over the place. So I mean, the States is fairly big. And there was one guy I remember. He looked like the Honey Monster, and dressed with big cords, wide cords, 70s style, you know. He had a great line. One of his songs was, "I'm going to round up all the freaks I know and start my own show." But it was, no, I don't even remember that side of it, playing it, to be honest. I remember saying this is my first ever gig in New York, and that's about it. But I remember those songs that those guys
But that
sang.
would have been a good feeling.
Oh,
yeah. And is that somewhere you aspire to get back to when things start to settle? And because I suppose at the minute, you know, there's no, you know, it's hard to tour and there's no gigs, and we're sitting here opposite each other, and there's very little people here, and you know, just the crew, and it's kind of a strange one. But you know, for venues, for producers, for, you know, for event organisers, for you know, everyone that's out there at the minute, and
it's bleak. I mean, who can? There's no. I mean, I'm not going to hopefully get any more depressing than that. But it's dire and it's bleak, and I just what can you say? You'd be gutted for anybody, and especially any of the venues that you love.
Yeah.
And it does seem like, I mean, in no leftist stance or anything at all, it just does seem like it's been once again left by the wayside. The arts are just the first to suffer, and they suffer the greatest. And like, it's the old adage and cliche: don't read a book, don't switch off your music, switch off your radio, switch off your TV, close your eyes. Basically everything that you see is art in a form. Like, you know, it's just crazy.
Yeah. So like, see there.
But this is beautiful.
Yeah. But see, at the minute, like out there, there's We Are events. I know you're big supporter, and you would share stuff. And I suppose it takes people to be innovative, and I know it's a strange way, but they are putting on things. I suppose they're keeping aware and the social conscience that that events to put on an event, like especially anyone that puts on an event at the stature of the events that people put on out there now, the workmanship, the dedication, the planning, the meetings, and the implementation of it is huge. And that takes. It's like I suppose it's like an army of fans that are into a big, massive sporting event, whereas all them people together, and then that's the participants coming as well, and they make it so slick looking and it moves smoothly. It's a massive economic boost.
It's unbelievable.
So
you mean like the crew and
everyone, yeah,
from the ground up.
Yeah,
I mean, and I've worked those jobs. I've worked crew, and you see those lampies and those lads. I know 2 people specifically that haven't done a day's work in 6 months, and no help.
Yeah, they're so-called falling through the cracks and things. Yeah,
what does that even mean?
Well, it basically means that nobody's caring, or nobody's looking at a plan to actually cure it. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully that'll, I suppose hopefully all we can hope for is that there is a way that it's going to come back. I had that chat with Tiernan. There has to be a way that you just make do and think of alternates and there's a way around everything. The force of creativity will outweigh the stance of people trying to squash it now, and that's because there's always been people that are able to plan out of whatever it is, and I think that the entertainment industry at the minute is uniting like never before. It's affecting Weber right down to promoters here locally, or massive promoters. It's everybody's in the same boat here, so there needs to be some sort of cohesion to quell that, at least, or to pull the reins in on whoever's making these decisions that are leaving you in the wilderness. Or put people in the room that actually know how to run events, and have speakers in the room that might know about how things should work. Well, you would know more about that, my friend. Well, you never know. Within the glass, what is it? No. This is NI Children's Hospice bottle. That's why we're allowed to keep the label on that. Yeah. But there'll be no proportion without representation. Good man yourself. Here, just moving on another note, because I suppose we can't be the cure of all the cures and the other, but what we can talk about now is Grease Palm. When Grease Palm came out, people really hit home to it and enjoyed it. From I think the first gig would have been in the Cellar, was it? Yet again. It was again. There was a really nice crowd, and I remember, and I remember chatting. We were open for somebody, I can't remember. Maybe I'm not sure, or maybe not. Maybe we don't know. I honestly can't remember. It was a blinder, and so you want to chat about why you got that band together and what was your thinking there? Because it definitely was a different. You had done, as I say, the sort of first album. You'd done the Rural Key, and then you had shifted gear into, I suppose, what was a really good collective mix of musicians. Really good, and everyone was really slick, and looked the part. Shit hot. You said that sort of, we are cool, but we don't have to tell. You don't have to tell us. I was the least cool. No, you had the shirt and all, hadn't you? Oh my god. Haji and Nico, my god, they're just the two slick. They were like smooth marmalade, weren't they? They were like marmalade. You know what I mean? They were like Keith and Ronnie would wanted to be. They were like the guitar. I know they had the 70s jackets and all that there. Yeah. So the set you would have done, how did that come about? I know it was all like cover songs and wasn't that right? Yeah. Well, absolutely. Initially, definitely, it was Nigel Martin, actually Henry's manager, Henry McCulloch's manager, and to promote a local promoter. Actually, used to put on all the John Prine gigs as well. Yeah. Anyway, Nigel, who I used to be friends with through Mudd, and Henry, another story, but Nigel rang, said, listen, we're doing a benefit, or a tribute stroke benefit gig for Henry and for Rosie to raise funds or whatever for Rosie, or Josie, what the hell am I talking about? Sorry, Josie, Rosie. And so was it for a Henry fundraiser? Or? Yeah, it was a fundraiser at the time that never happened, actually.
there was some argument with, who cares? It didn't happen. But so Nigel come to me, said, can you get a couple of people together for this gig? And at the time, I'd been playing some of my own stuff with Glenn, who I'd got in touch with totally by chance. Anyway, Glenn Hutchinson. So Glenn and I had been playing some of my original stuff, and then listen, we need to do this gig for Henry.
That's right, I seen you two in South Glen. That's right.
And he was like, well, what about, we'll get somebody else in, we'll get Beatty in on drums, Mark Beatty. He was playing for Katie in the Carnival at the time, and he says, well, we'll ask Nico as well. So Glenn really put the band together, I suppose. I'd met Nico, I'd met Nico, and I knew Mark from Katie in the Carnival. Anyway, we got Glenn's father had a huge shed out the back, and Glenn had nailed screwed boards to make a room in the top loft of this shed, and it was all orange amps, Marshall stacks, full drum kit. I brought the Hammond organ, and Barry Fahey played bass. That was my contribution. So I brought Barry, this guy, he's shit hot. Yeah. He's Bill Wyman,
He was a fine player.
Oh, unbelievable. So they all were, Nico's the best rhythm guitar player I've ever heard live ever. And Hutchie had his own sound. He had lips in that Cherry Red 335.
Yeah.
He had his own unique sound. You knew, like a proper guitar player have their own sound. It's Jimmy, or it's Jimmy Page, or Jimi Hendrix, or the difference. Anyway, so we just ended up playing some more. Come on, we'll play a Grease Band song, Henry's band. Yeah. Focused a lot on Henry's stuff. Got a few tunes together, a few Rolling Stones hits. We'll go out and play this, Played the Cellar. Ended up, I think, maybe, well, I don't know, maybe the first ever sort of covers band to play the festival. But I mean, we had a couple of originals written together, and Hutch had written some smoking hot hits, real deep south. Anyway,
but you made people groove.
Yeah, they loved it. It was dirty.
Disco ball.
Wasn't that the t-shirts and everything?
Cool. We didn't have a disco ball then, but if you had a disco ball, it'd be a Grease Palm gig.
Yeah, they had the sunglasses, the whole thing. Yeah, I wore Stetson hat and all that.
Brilliant.
It was good fun, great fun.
Well,
and I messed it up. I totally messed it up, and there you go. I'm sure there's three sides to every story. I suppose there's his and the truth, and we could fight all day about it. But I would love someday down the line, if they were forgiven, that we could one day get along again, and maybe someday even play together again.
It was amazing. A wee regroup.
Yeah.
Are we saying here tonight in the Small But Mass podcast, part 2? Grease Palm may get together again. We don't know,
those guys
but here we can send the love out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Send the love out to all the other lads, and all we can say was,
on bended knee,
as someone like me at Victians and seeing you live, really enjoyable band. And then sure, we in 2013 was the City of Culture year in Derry, and so we were asked to partner up with, at that time there was a festival running called Culture Tech. So we done a Glasgowbury picnic. Well, we hadn't any picnic tables, I don't think. I can't remember. Did you see any? There was boulders sitting out in front of the Guildhall Square. But you played at the main stage, and do you know what? People were really grooving to it. You know what I mean? And Fimber was up that day too, in between bands. He was running wee drum sessions and different things, right, and people would come out and they would have a wee drum circle. And
beautiful afternoon as well, or evening.
Sun was shining, stunning, and I suppose,
and the Derry crowd are into music, they always are. And I mean, how can you not be in a good?
Well, I suppose it's one of them places. I suppose the Guildhall, that people come from different places. They're coming over from the bus depot, and they're coming down from Strand, or they're coming from every angle. And look, when you were playing, people were there. They were grooving. They were loving it. And I suppose that's all you want as a band. And I know it wasn't long after that, maybe Ian sort of decided to just part your ways, But for us at that time, it was good because that was our last year of the festival, so it was good to double up with that and have yourselves and the Woodburn and Savages were playing that one too, and it was pretty cool. Like, it was a good setup.
The festival was wonderful. That was such a crowd in that tent. Paddy Nash was. I've never seen him dance so much in my life.
Well, that's another thing. Just talking about Paddy Nash there. You went on tour with Paddy. What were you playing? The Hammond?
For some reason, Paddy let me join the band. I pissed and moaned and begged him enough that he let me in the band, and there was probably 9 people in the band at that stage. And they had a fundraiser in the cellar for like the tour.
That's right.
Tour sport.
That's right. No, the wee poster was the wee bus.
Camper,
no, it was really cool. And
so we got the bus got the boat to Liverpool, and then drove to Cambridge. Did a gig in Cambridge that night, first night. Played at Toll Puddle Martyrs Festival. That's the real socialist left. It's the original union was the Toll Puddle Union. Not going to that anyway.
Till the day I die.
Yeah.
That's the one, yeah? Is that the one? Yeah.
That's Billy Bragg was there and all. It was pretty cool,
Yeah.
Rosie, what do you call her? Rosie Doonan, she sang, and Tony Benn actually spoke at it. It was very funny. It's good. That was great. We played, and God love Paddy and Diane putting up with, Johnny and Liam and me.
Was Paddy and Diane like the father and mother figure, if you know that?
Very much. Very well.
Would you have been would you like, my ear in here now, sit down, Paddy, don't move, you know what I want. Oh, my cursing gene's gonna take off now. Was it like a Nanny McPhee moment there?
Oh my God.
Shit. And,
it was great.
Look, I'm sure it was a week to remember.
Brilliant.
You know what I mean? And so we'll move on now to the next band that you got together, and how that came about, because me and Stella went to it was Atlantic Sessions, and it was it an old theatre? You were
Portrush Town Hall.
Portrush Town
Gorgeous
Hall,
room.
and
Beautiful room.
You were Johnny Cash tribute band, and that night was unbelievable. It was totally sold out. Joe Lindsay was dancing all around the place, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was Joe put it together, actually.
Yeah, I know it was there, but because he was happy, I think, with the crowd. That's
absolutely.
And Caroline Mathers, who runs the Atlantic Sessions.
Exactly, yeah.
So how did that come about for you? Because was there an anniversary or something at the time for Johnny Cash? Maybe is that right?
Exactly, yeah. It was the 50th anniversary of the Folsom Prison album, so the live album that won you got it.
Take a wee ship for me. Show me a wee ship.
He holds it up here, and Luther's down here.
No. Yeah.
So Joe used to DJ in the hotel I worked in Belfast, and I knew him for years anyway. So he just got chatting, and he was like, "Here, what do you think about putting a band together for Johnny Cash's 50th anniversary? What about that?" I was like, "Oh, what's involved in that?" And he was like, "Just you go away and think about a figure and think of who you want to play. I'll sort out all the details." So a week later I just rang a few people and said, "I don't know if you're into it. Would you be up for it?" Everybody said yes straight away. Then I got word from, it was actually Carolyn, I think, or no, maybe Joe, my manager, that put me in touch with Amanda, the girl that played the June role in the Johnny Cash tribute band. So he said, "Listen, there's a 50th anniversary. We need to put it together. It's a gig in Portrush." It was initially in a bar, and then they moved it to the town hall because it sold out so many tickets for the bar, and they wanted to change the venue, which was awesome.
It was a class venue too.
It was beautiful.
I think it sort
perfect.
It fitted the whole music, didn't it? It fitted everything about it. It sort of was nearly going back in time to the old hall, wasn't it?
Exactly, like the 30-foot high walls or roofs. Sorry.
And that
echo.
That actual echo was in that hall, I'm sure, many times. Yeah.
Oh lad, you can imagine through the years. Stevie O'Hagan on guitar, who grew up on Johnny Cash, so he was in his element, playing lead guitar. Ryan McClellan on drums.
Fantastic too.
Unbelievable. He was 20 years old or 19 years old at the time. I've not seen a talent like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long. Jerry Morgan probably. Mike Mormica is probably the only R2 I know. Johnny Nutt and bass. Who else do you want?
Total funk.
Unbelievable Johnny.
Total cool. Yeah.
Just on it. I mean, even on the night, you can hear in the audio, because we got an audio from the desk, and you can hear on the night, every time I called the tune, it was like, "What keys is Johnny?" whispering to Stevie on the stage. What's this? On the night. I love him. He's the best. So,
but these, like, I suppose you were getting people on there. They're all busy musicians too, and playing in different bands. And when you put something like that together, you get in, you rehearse, and then like you're just out there. At the other side of this wall, I think you rehearsed.
We did indeed. Yeah. Thankfully, we're afforded the opportunity to rehearse here, and
it actually gave me extra time to listen. Which is really good. And I suppose. I know that Stephen went away to Canada, but he's back now. Is it something that you would think of maybe throwing a few nights together of the Johnny Cash tour? Because any night you've done, there was a great crowd, and even in here the night you done was really, really good. And is that something you would think about? Or
absolutely, I would love to, and we have spoke about another couple of maybe different tributes, and I'm so glad. I'm just devastated that it didn't work out for them out there, but I'm so glad that he's home and that we're able to play again. So we're going to rehearse probably, I think, tomorrow actually, for some other stuff.
There you go.
Not the Johnny Cash stuff incidentally, but I would definitely love to do that. Amanda has been pestering me to sing, to come and do it, and to sing Karen Carpenter's or whatever. Amanda's amazing, versatile talent as well. So yep.
So we just wait to hold the space. Hold the space.
You know what?
What have we got to do? Hold the space. Right. So that there, just coming on from the Johnny Cash tribute. You were just awarded there recently an award from the Arts Council of Northern Ireland for towards putting an album together. So how was that process, just for people out there that might, want to apply? Because, you sometimes I would talk to people and the actual application just totally just blows their mind. And they're really talented people and they probably deserve to get supported, but it's just the way things are set in place that there's certain ways that you need to have so much done before. Like earlier on, we're talking about all the different things you were in and out of and all that. So that would all obviously help towards it. But how was that experience for you? Was that the annual sport for the individual artist, or was it? Is that right?
Yeah, that yes, essentially yes. So it was prior to any of the pandemic, any of that. Yeah. So it was basically their standard route of what you would annually, if you were to apply. Historically, I would agree totally. I would have been daunted to even try and fill in the forms.
Yeah.
You see some of the questions and you think, well, what do they even mean by that? And you do have to kind of think, it's not just a simple tick, box ticking exercise. You probably just have to think a little like, what do they want? I don't mean that you haven't got the skills or whatever the qualities, but you have to express it in a way that they see that. I mean, everybody knows what you can. I mean, you know what you can do. Everybody else doesn't know what you can do. So you just have to present that in a way that they can read and see that you qualify for the grant. Now that probably sounds like a wishy-washy answer, but without even having the form in front of me, it'd be pointless to even get into that side of it.
Yeah, because
it is a little bit civil servicey, for want of a better term.
Yeah.
But it is very doable, and I'm proof that. Historically, people would rant and rave about certain people are always getting the grants or whatever, but then, I mean, and I possibly might have been in one of those in the past, but
now
you only get the grants if you fucking apply for them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're understanding more of it now, maybe even off them people, that maybe, they're getting that support, but
and there's people out there that'll help you. If you ask, if you shout loud enough, you'll get help with forms. And there's people that know how to fill the forms in, but they know what the questions mean, or they, you know what I mean. They know what you need to specifically answer on.
Yeah, but that's good. So see with that now, what is your plans with the album? Do you plan? When will people hear some of the music there?
How long's a piece of string? Well, the Arts Council want it done by February, I think, at the end of February.
Yeah, but I suppose with all going on now with the whole just after lockdown and all the things, I think they'll be thinking about different things. But saying that there, have you got plans for who's going to play on it? What style will it be? And as I say, where were you thinking about recording it?
Well, recording it, there's a guy who I've loved his music for years, and he's played with everybody. A fella called Gavin Glass,
from Dublin.
Yeah. Now lives way down. I learned this to my detriment when I was going down to see him. I thought he was just half an hour south of Dublin. He's nearly on the south coast of Wexford, way down in Shelmaliers, and where all those battles were. But he's got a lovely setup down there. It used to be an old swimming pool and some lovely old kit, and he just gets. Do you know what? With no sense of exaggeration, I felt the same going in there and speaking to him as I did when I spoke to Mudd. And I don't say that in any light.
Yeah.
I just felt the same.
You could feel it inside you to do this.
And he was taping a band at the time, and I could just hear him. Like, he wasn't being a dick or forceful or anything, but the way he was expressing his opinion on what they needed to do as him being the producer was just exactly like Mudd would have been then, So I was all the way. I was sold immediately. As for players, I mean, Stevie, I hope if he's free, he's going to play guitar.
Yeah.
But, well, to be honest, I keep changing my mind. Initially, it was supposed to be Liam on drums and Nicky Scott on bass, but I don't know. I think less on it would be better, to be honest. I kind of like...
Well, look, at the time he done the Ballads of Glasgowbury and the Rural Key. As Mick O'Connell said, it just was a beautiful song with your voice and the guitar.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
and you captured that moment.
I want it to be simple. I don't want any... I've had all that, past CDs. I don't want all that fluff.
Yeah, flooding it with stuff. You just want the song to tell the story and get it out there.
A little bit of mandolin, a little bit of hill guitar, and maybe a little bit of bass, but I can immediately hear Mudd in my background. I brought him a track with it. Was just me, Donald Scullion, Norman Devlin, and Nathan Ball, and Conor Scullion played just a vanity project, did one song each over a weekend, and I brought him the CD, and there was no drums on it, and I was playing him Donald's track, and I was like, lad, this is lethal, will you hear this? It's fretless bass and all, cool, and he was like, 30 seconds in, he was sitting, just, where the fuck's the drums?
Tell me this then. So, of all, with the album, and you've got a manager now, Joe, right? And so I seen you online. There's a new group Joe's got going.
Safe and Sound.
Would you like to explain, maybe for people out there that might know what that is and what it's all about?
I mean, in a nutshell, I suppose they wanted to create it's become such a cliched word, but a safe space. Too often, especially male folks in the industry, you don't feel any vulnerability, or at least to the extent that maybe females or transgender folk might feel, in this scene and locally,
in the entertainment scene,
in the entertainment scene. And it's only when it's spelled out to you, often, especially people like me, I suppose, that you realise, well, Jesus, people, how would they feel like anything but vulnerable by being put in certain situations? So they want to build a place where even parents can get advice of young performers, perhaps, where they can come and their kick and practice in a safe space with other musicians
and be themselves.
Yeah, so exactly, and that's it. There's absolutely no judgment of any kind. Kind of like what you've had going on here for the last, since 2006 was it the first Rural Key? Or?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's good to see that it's spreading its wings and calling itself a different thing and elsewhere. But
but it's a good thing for where we're at now, and it's something should be happening all over. And as I say, with Joe putting it together, like Safe and Sound, isn't that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And so I mean, it says it in the words, and safe. And
Katie's involved in that, and Ciara McMullen and a couple of others as well as the leads on it.
All Joe, good people that get together.
Joe is the salt of the earth. I've known her for years. She used to be Swanee's manager as well. But Joe's just an anomaly. I've never known anybody that works as hard as her, and she has her, for one of better terminology, finger in every pie. She knows everything that's going on, and not a better resource could anybody want to have.
And is there a website or anything, a Facebook that people could be aware of? Or
you're putting me on the spot here. There definitely is a Facebook, Safe and Sound.
Yeah.
And if you actually search that, there's probably a couple of different types, but you'll see it. There's an NI one. When you type in the search, there's a specific NI one.
Brilliant. But just going away from music here a wee minute, you're a great lover of all things bees. And
honeybees,
yeah, and I know that you had your own.
Got a couple of hives,
Hives, that's the ones, and not the ones yet in your skin.
No.
Right, just so people are aware.
You can get them if they sting you, but
yeah. So tell me about that, and how did you fall into the love of that, or was that something you went on to just explore? Or?
I was looking for a documentary to watch to quell my thoughts probably one night, I don't know how many years ago now, and found one called The Last Beekeeper, and it was then about the state of the bees in America and the colony collapse, and they didn't even really know anything about it then, or what was causing it, or they still don't know fully, but so it just got at me, and I basically wrote a narrative of the documentary immediately after watching it in about 5 minutes, and then it became my song, The Last Beekeeper. So I found a local association, signed up to the college, to Greenmount, to do the qualification, the basic beekeeping qualification, and then became a member of the local association there in a country estate, Lord O'Neill's estate in Randallstown, way down in the heart of it. Game of Thrones filmed a lot of stuff there. It's beautiful, real lovely setting.
And so can anybody join the beekeeping society? Is it like a society?
It is.
What can we?
They let the bees do the buzzing, but I'll tell you, it's you gotta pave your way to get into it.
Do you?
Honestly, yeah, it was comical in that regard.
I'm trying to guess some names, of some people that would be
the master beekeeper, the best, just the most artistic, and
the buzz is hanging around him.
He used to teach metalwork, woodwork, and plastics. He's a real genius. But Elmer Kennedy is his name. What a name!
Elmer
Kennedy.
Would he have sort of a title, like you say,
Master Beekeeper?
Well, Master Beekeeper. So I wasn't even listening. I apologize for that, bro. So Master Beekeeper Elmer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, just to ask you. Is Elmer a fringe to the side sort of a chap? No, or does he have a special hat? No, or what?
No, he just pretty much a little bit of grey around the back and sides. Like that's about it. Very, very, very well kept.
Yeah. He could have, was he like his voice? Has he got like a posh voice?
No, he's got a bit of a culture accent.
Jesus Christ!
Just a wee bit.
Oh, that's deadly.
And he speaks in not riddles, but I remember I said, "How you keeping?" He wasn't well for a while. I said, "Well, Elmer, how have you been keeping?" He says, "Don't even buy green bananas anymore."
Well, here, just on that, you had a couple of hives, or and, not the other one. But so how did that go for you? And
first 3 years were a disaster. They all died. Every winter they all died. I'm reassured by the keepers, the experienced ones, the masters, that it wasn't my fault. So sorry, Nathan, in there. Nathan, the Church of Nathan in there. I don't know if you can kill that. Anyway,
it's the Church of Nathan.
Amen.
Even Tierney's down on his knees at the minute.
That's a poster.
So here, you found faith for the bees, right? Yeah. So, but just you watch a documentary. I seen a thing one time, right? I don't know, it was breakfast TV or something, and so they put out all this stuff, right? That and the breakfast TV ones are going, I'm not going to eat that, but the guy doing the interview was saying, well, eat it, and they were, everything was dry. There was no honey, no, obviously, to make these things that the big slushy donuts.
Yeah, the bees were dying out, so they weren't your food isn't going to be the same, basically.
So it'll all be dry.
Well, 1/3 of every mouthful, one in 3 mouthfuls that you've ever eaten or drank has been directly, I'm not saying that right. So 1 out of every 3 mouthfuls that you've ever taken as sustenance has come as a direct result of the work that honeybees do. So you're taking away 1/3 of your food if the bees go, immediately. It's gone.
So is there a campaign out there for the bees?
Yeah.
Have you got a slogan for them? Buzz off and let the bees be strong. Oh, go that one. Is that a good one?
Yeah.
Hashtag buzz off. Let the bees be strong. Do you think it would work?
I'll get
What
that
would
one
Nigel?
up
What would his one? What would his one be?
Elmer.
Elmer.
I don't know, no Nigel. I don't know what Elmer's is.
But
it's only dear the day you buy it. That was another one Elmer said.
But I just wanted to mention that because you always, over the years, would have come up with some deadly honey, and it is beautiful honey that you Lambo. It's not the kind of stuff you get in the shops. It just splatters out. It's a real deal. You know what I mean?
Don't be buying that.
One wee bit on the carrots, it is gorgeous.
Unbelievable.
Oh, unbelievable. We can nearly taste them now, can't we?
But it's totally different. Or dip your apple in it or whatever the hell you do.
Well, we're flying on. We haven't got the jetpacks on yet because I know yours is going just in a minute. But just over to my left-hand side, the people in the room or outside might know this, but there is 2 apples. Yeah. And they look deadly, right? So
get it better.
So I left the seat there a minute, Nathan. I apologise. So there's 2 apples here on the table. It's not magic or anything, right? But earlier on, Junior bought a full bag of apples. So obviously there'll be pies of making and apple tarts of flying. Within the next few days. So there's 2 apples in front of us. Jarlath, do you see the 2 apples there? Yeah. So the 2 apples are here, and me personally, I just see an apple and I go, looks deadly, and I'll go and eat it, right? But earlier on, you were able just to put your hand on the bag, a bit like picking out the lottery balls, you know what I mean? Or the FA Cup, number 2 Manchester United, number 5 Liverpool, and then they may pull out an R ball, Scunthorpe United, big one Arsenal, so something like that there. But you just whipped them out, and then he says, "Here, lad, this one's called." So do you want to tell me what the crack is?
They're from my papa's garden, and these are my favourite apples in the whole world. For anybody that's listening, there's 2 on the table here, and the little one on the left, it's a Macintosh Spartan, which is a great name for an apple.
Who sat down? I often wonder that. You watch some wildlife programs, and here he is. No, here is the Scutabo spider, and you're thinking, who come up with the name Scutabo spider? Yeah. So tell me that name again.
It's a Macintosh, but the variety is Spartan, like the Spartacus 300. I don't know where they got that.
Wait, so you're telling me there that it's like these Spartacus, the sort of
I wish I could be more informative with the history. All I know is it's the most delectable fruit I've ever eaten, and each year it's a slightly different flavour, which is weird too. It must be the soil or whatever. Yeah. And the one on the right there, it's called a Lord Lambourne. Lord Lambourne!
He must have been some crack. He must have been some dude.
Lord Lambourne.
He sat up at the back, right? He sat up in his house, right? He had this big house, he walked up 20 steps. He goes, somebody said, "Lord Lambourne, your tea's ready." "Oh, I can't come now. I am checking out the apple that's named after myself." What do you reckon, lad?
Do you know, I think I'll have an apple.
Look, right. So we have a Lord Lambourne, right? So anyway, they're going to be lovely. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to eat them, right? And I don't really know if I forgot about anything. As I say, what notes I had, they've disappeared. Like like Mojo Mike on the Rural Key. But
he had a toner's bap, and that was it. He couldn't handle it.
He couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle the baps.
He only got a quarter of it. He was bit.
But so. Thank you very much for for joining us. We will. I know you're going to do a wee short set, but I suppose for me, thanks to all the good people out there for listening in. This podcast will be out soon. As I said the last time, just keep an eye out. I actually think our first podcast is out today, you know, so I reckon
Burning Savages.
I reckon I'm just going to get battered on down there. Look at that. What are they talking about, you know? But it's a great pleasure to have you here. We can look forward to the album. No doubt when you're doing the album, maybe call up and have a wee short chat and let us know how it's getting on. And good luck with
we'll play some tunes.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks to everybody here that give up their Saturday night to listen to us do.
Well, as you know, it's a time if you're not allowed many crew, you know. So we have a young work experience Jarlath in the corner today, and he's done a great job. Yeah, woohoo! Last week we done like Mick Jagger.
Golf clap.
Golf clap. Yeah. What is it? 2 fingers. Let me see the golf clap there. I hope all you can try it again. That's very good. Oh, my fingers are getting so relaxed. So we have a golf clap there for Jarlath, and then we have another golf clap with the opposite hand for Tierney over the right. Yeah, and he took a wee bow there. Oh, it's a fantastic figure. And then in the room at the back we have Nathan. We'll do 2 double golf claps. 2 double golf claps for Nathan. And Kaylin, who's the producer, who said a pair of things in my ear. They were laughing away. I couldn't hear skilly shit. So, and we'll give it up to the men. They did better. And we have one. We have Nalpun, our only fan tonight.
Yes,
Nalpun, yeah.
Nal.
Woohoo! And we have Patricia. Woohoo!
And Stella.
Woohoo! All in the room. So thank you very much. We're going to take a whoosh over to the other side. And we'll give a wee round of applause to Junior Johnson. Thank you very much. What did you call that apple again, the Lord boy?
Lord Lambourne.
And from Lord Lambourne. From Lord Lambourne here. So good. This is so good. I'm so alive. It's not even fake. It's so crisp. Alive. It's crisp and it's a wonderful morning. Thank you very much. So thank you very much from the Small But Massive podcast. Thank you everybody for listening out there, and we hope to see you soon again. Thank you, Ryan. Can't wait to get some tunes going now. Cheers.